morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. And so, firstly, congratulations to all the newly qualified chartered accountants in December 21 attempt. To go about my introduction, I am a recently qualified chartered accountant and I qualified in July 21. I did my articleship from Deloitte, Kolkata, and pursued my graduation from St. Xavier's. And I did an industrial training for 1 year with Hindustan Unilever Limited in the T division in the finance team. Currently, I'm working with Alvarez and Marsal in the transaction advisory domain with in the financial due diligence team. So now coming to the interview process and to understand how it went for me while I got selected at A&M. So I got hired at A&M through campus placements and my selection of location was Mumbai. So there were two rounds of interview. One was taken up by the director and the second round was taken up by the MD of the company for the FDD team. Then coming to what basically the interview revolved around was more of my work experience in Hindustan Unilever and Deloitte to understand whether what I have done, I have also understood the same or I have just done it for the sake of doing it. So the interviews were really great and I think both went around half an hour each. So that was there. Then coming to the description of the job role or what we actually do at FDD or how does it work. So first to understand when does the due diligence occur, it can occur for any sort of transaction that is happening in the market. So by any sort of transaction, I mean one of the best examples is the deal between Tata's and the government for in the airline sector that recently happened. A&M was the key part of it being the due diligence company, the being the company who did the due diligence in that deal. And another simple example could be a company looking to raise funds through private equity investors, and that private equity investor wants a due diligence of the company raising funds before actually investing his or her money into it. So that is when basically due diligence comes in. These are just two examples. There are a number of examples, and it is not an exhaustive list. Now, coming to what generally is done in due diligence is we try to understand and see as to how the company can be valued or what is the situation of the company, how has it been doing over the years, and what is its performance been according to the industry benchmarks and everything. So we can basically divide it into three broad categories that we look at. First would be the quality of earnings, wherein it basically focuses on P&L parameters. And if I speak about it, then primarily revenue, because that is something which is key for every sort of organization. Then coming to the next point or the next broad classification or area would be an assessment of the working capital. So to understand as to what is the requirement, what has been the requirement, how it has been managed so far, what is the current status of the working capital, and what is it which will be required post acquisition or whatever the transaction is. And third could be the third broad area would be assessment of net debt, or analyzing the net worth of the company. So that basically focuses on all items pertaining to the balance sheet, the borrowings, the bank balances, and everything else, so which basically helps us to understand as to what is the position of the company balance sheet wise, focusing on important areas which could be different for different sort of companies, definitely. So that is what is good about it. Now coming to my reason for basically joining A&M or choosing FDD would be, so firstly coming to FDD, it was something which is very interesting in the sense of you get to see different deals, different sectors, different companies, and every single transaction is literally completely different from the previous one. So that is where the learning keeps on increasing, I guess. And my choice why I chose A&M, basically A&M is best at FDD is what I feel, because that is what we are trying to specialize at, and A&M is a company which is in its growing phase, right? And agreed that big fours also do deals, and this is completely my opinion with a disclaimer that this is what I think and this is not a general statement. that right now A&M probably does it the best because of the team mix and what we have to offer clients, in the sense of we try to do it differently, and we dedicate a whole team to the transaction, in the sense of giving people from the higher management itself till the bottom hierarchy is what happens. And even before joining, I spoke to people at A&M to understand, and I spoke to people at Big Four also to understand as to where I could or I could not join, and the feedback came in a very similar manner that I should go for A&M, and that is what I have understood since the last 4 months. So I have been working with A&M since October. Before that, I was doing my IT, so that has been it. And coming to one last advice that I would want to give to the newly qualified people. So basically, I've been receiving a lot of queries as to which line to go for, which area to opt for, or which company to go for. I think to limit yourself to one area or one domain right now is very difficult or very unreasonable to an extent, unless you are very clear that you want to specifically grow into one area. Right now, I think you should apply and understand whatever profiles are out there for whichever companies. Firstly, try and get a grasp of what it is out there, apply everywhere, sit for interviews. Then when you have a choice between two companies, then you can probably evaluate that, okay, you want to eliminate this area or not go for a particular thing. I think while applying, we cannot filter unless, as I said, you are very stringent and very clear that you want to go for a specific area. So that would be mostly it, and you can reach out to me through the YouTube comments maybe for this video. And thank you so much, Inside Angle, for this beautiful opportunity to connect with everybody and thinking me capable enough to give in my perspective for everything. And really glad to have interacted through this platform, and wishing everybody all the best. Thank you.